All right, and we are live after our reaction of Helluva Boss season 2, episode 7. Get my series and episodes mixed up. I'll go quick introduction. Who's here and who just reacted to it? I guess going through random Skype order. Second day.
That's us. The second day, second opinion, and Daylover. From a critic first and a fan second, and from a fan first and a fan second.
That's true.
The
This
next
was
up,
amazing.
Carlos.
I feel like this is
Hold on, let him introduce himself.
All right, and this has been Gunmetal Gator here, chomping up a storm, flying in a fury of nature.
The wild gators.
Yeah.
All right, I guess we can go into our immediate thoughts on this 30-minute special of Helluva Boss.
Am I good? Yeah.
All right, so what are your thoughts, Daylover?
Yeah, I thought it was really amazing. I really liked the twin song and the end song. I think like definitely a lot more information, and I think I need to watch it all one more time because there was a lot of stuff going on there, but I really do like the growing of the what's that main character plot going on here. And
Blitz or
Blitz was just in the background in this one. I don't feel like he did a lot in this. Actually.
So you're talking about
Viscerella,
his brother.
Yeah. And it was nice to see them as children as well. Like we're not seeing that much. But also like that Luke. What's
Ozzy.
Ozzy, yeah, I like Ozzy. I don't this Mammon or Greed King. I think I'm going to read a little more up on him, and like he seems like really interesting too.
I mean, I think he's an original character for the show, but yeah.
Yeah. So. But he was designed around the spider, and the original Greed is also a spider, which is really interesting for me to think about. If you didn't know that.
And like I said, his design reminded me sort of a lot of like from Nightmare Before Christmas, like
the Nightmare, yeah.
Wait, which one? Oogie Boogie or?
Yeah, the Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah,
so like his design point is more showmanship, is like focus on greed and all that. Like
yeah.
Boy. Not so much his personality. Like this guy is really supposed to be a schlub salesman.
Yeah. He did really good. Like that was good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he
even
picks it up and then he drops it and then he like throws up a ton of BS trying to cover for himself or trying to force his case, and then he picks it up again. Like Oogie Boogie never drops his swagger.
Yeah. Even when he disappeared. There came up dollar signs in the background, and I was just like, okay, I think we get it now. Just a little, a lot, but I didn't expect less from Greed now. Interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like interesting contrast, honestly. It's like, even though in a lot of ways hell is hell, it's like, in other ways, it's like the gluttony circle, that just kind of is what it is. I mean, Kesha's character, she's all about, swallow it all, revel in it, enjoy it. It's like, it's more of a fact than a good or bad. And she herself, I mean, in fact, actually, she was kind of ambiguous on, like, whether she was being petty or whether she was just being, like, what she thought was reasonable or whatever. Kesha's character back in the gluttony circle.
Oh, gluttony.
Cotton candy. Yeah, and Ozzy it's like he's trying to make it all about like the like that Ozzy. He acts like he is trying to take lust to that point, like no, we want the petty, we like being petty and shallow. It's like lust just for fun and no stable relationship at all, and it turns out even that much is just to sort of sell it, and he actually is sort of like, I guess, a healthier outlook on it. So, which makes Mammon the first one who genuinely sucks. Like, he is an jag-off SOB that, like, and I mean, granted, I don't know if greed has a positive connotation unless you're Ayn Rand, but yeah, like he, I don't know, everybody even seems to like, everybody who has any sort of reason in this show seems like they expect more from him or would expect more from him, and he just genuinely sucks that much.
Well, we can all be a little greedy sometimes, then.
Yeah, well, I mean, exactly, which, almost makes you wonder, like, if they're,
on Halloween night, like all of the candy.
Yeah. Well, that's more gluttony, which makes you, excuse me, wonder, like, if they're gonna, like, split hairs, as it were, like, okay, are some of these sins more redeemable than others, or in fact not necessarily sins, or is it just, it's not that deep, bro, like, some of these characters are just bigger jerks than others, that's just what it is. But either way, like, I mean, it seems like a lot of what we've seen in this show that sucks comes back to him a little bit. Lululand is, like, comically hellish and sucks, and that's his. And I mean, that...
Wait, is that his?
Well, yeah, it's the greed ring, because, like, we know that even though Fizz is Ozzy's boyfriend, that he still seems to pick up most of his work in the greed ring.
Oh, I actually think about something like maybe that greed could do to Ozzy that maybe would tear a rift, I don't know. Like strip him of all of this money.
You mean Mammon?
Yeah, I don't know. Who's paying Oz?
Oz is the lust guy, Mammon's the greed guy.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, nobody pays Oz. He gets his own money, I guess.
Well, I guess, like, I don't know. It seems like the idea is you have to keep this in business somehow. I don't know if it's for money or clout or power or just for the fact that, your ring has to exist alongside the others. But in any case, Ozzy's, he does seem to run his own nightclubs and whatnot. Like, it seems like there's some kind of a brand factor here that, he just, like, explicitly making it about money. That seems to be Mammon's thing more than the others, which kind of makes sense if greed is your thing.
Okay, yeah, I gotta go to bed, but it was really fun, you guys. I think this one is one of my favorite episodes up there. Definitely.
I'd say definitely one of the better ones this season.
Yeah, definitely I think like all of the songs, but definitely the twin song and the last one, just brilliant. Because like first he loves it, and then he finally figures it out. Last but not least, and there we go. Somebody just pulled away. So I'm going. Night, guys.
Good night.
And that, good friends, is the exit of the Daylover.
Woo! Happy Halloween. Woo!
Like, honestly, this season, like this episode, and Moxie's dad, and maybe honorable mention the one right before this, like, I think those at least are solid contenders up there with the best in the entire show. And for that matter, that might even be more on par with the previous season than we thought, because, like, season 1 ended with, like, a 1-2-3 punch of really good episodes. Like, The Dorks, Ozzy's, what we just saw right after Ozzy's. But yeah, that might have made us forget that there were lesser episodes leading up to that, and maybe even a minute there that they needed to really hit their stride.
But the one question I'm just sort of having about this, because I felt the season up to this, like up until like the last episode, that was going in a certain direction, but sort of like adding a very big subplot to this too, which I still feel by the season's end, a lot of these are going to converge together. And now I'm wondering how, because now there's definitely a plot of like Ozzy and Fritz, just like their forbidden relationship, and them also pissing off Maman. So that's definitely going to be coming back up. But now we also have to deal with the Blitz and gosh, I can't remember his name.
Stryker or
Stellos or what's it?
Stolas?
Stolas. Yeah. Terrible name, especially when it's at like 11 a.m.
Fair enough.
Yeah, like that's I feel going to be the very big point that's going to have like Stolas as being his divorce and assassination attempts. I feel that definitely is, but I feel they also will want to sort of integrate now this subplot and then that too. So I'm just curious how they're going to do that. It's like it feels like they're foreshadowing and setting stuff up, and now it's like another big avenue. Which the one possibility is maybe this is season 3 stuff for the Mammon.
Mammon.
Yeah, Mammon.
Yeah, I mean, like would make sense for them to be a major bad boy villain for like at this particular series, while the other sins could be interesting side parties for the other series. So yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah, well, it seems like the threat here with Ozzy and the secret that was like a threat before and now is out, that like even though he just said bring it on, like Mammon seems pretty convinced that it's gonna have consequences. So yeah, it seems like the implication here is that like this is enough to get Ozzy to potentially lose his job as boss of the Lust Ring. And yeah, from the way like and however it affects him, I guess, yeah, they only have 7 of those 7 bosses, so that would seem to be potentially a pretty big thing that Ozzy could fall, leave some
That's
kind of
like
a
I
power
said,
vacuum.
Because that's what I was saying. Like that Mammon, like I feel it's such a like okay, this is a setting up future plot point. Like both Mammon, I cannot pronounce. It's like my brain wants to say it one way,
Yeah.
but I feel it's like 2 things here, like that's setting up. One, him in general just being a dick, and he's going to come back. But also, like in general, it feels like there's a bigger issue with Ozzy and Fritz dating, and that being this outright publicly known. So I feel that's 2 separate things, and so it's like if that is 2 separate things, like okay, what is the bigger outside force?
Definitely. Like, honestly, yes. An assassination attempt on Stolas, a major ring potentially having his entire job jeopardized. It's like both of those are big enough to have serious consequences on their own. I mean, yeah, I agree. It feels like something's cooking.
I mean, something feeling like anarchy, possibly upheaval of one of the major pillars of all hell. That's just basically
But
like
the thing is, like, like the thing is, like, which has been brought up by before when I think it was like when the last episode released and this whole Fritz and Ozzy's relationship was brought up is like, yeah, this ain't like the first time this similar relationship has been public. Like, So that raises questions what specifically is their issue, just because like Beelzebub like is very openly dating like
Vortex.
and like the one thing's lower than imps and like the demon on the hell scale is like hellhounds. So it's like, yeah, if that's okay with that relationship's like, so what particularly is the I feel like so then when that eventually runs its course, we're gonna have more like lore and stuff revealed.
Like finally get to see what's so disastrous about this information being actually public instead of it being like insinuated through a lot of glares and stares.
Yeah, like everyone just being like openly like, oh yeah, we knew.
Oh yeah, we knew, but now it's like everyone was just recording. Oh, this is just a public announcement. Oh, this is even spicier.
Yeah, there are directions they could go with this. Like they could go kind of the Hunger Gamesy route. Like you'd be surprised how much the publicity war matters before any punches are even thrown. They could go the I don't know, make it some kind of a like not a quest challenge, like some kind of a bureaucracy challenge. They could straight up do the sooner rather than later, like, oh, he falls through and there's massive upheaval. It's on the table.
But yeah, that's why I said I feel this might potentially be a season 3 plot, just because they really maybe not resolve, but like have to make headway on like the Stolas plot. Which, so I feel that's going to be more running ahead. So I feel potentially that resolution might sort of lead into more like the season 3 plot, which could potentially be like there's a sort of civil war-ish fight between like the cardinal sins potentially, and maybe like whatever resolution happens with Stolas sort of adds fuel to that fire.
I mean, yeah, it's like, I mean, you're not wrong, but the other thing is, though, this is like advertising itself as the mid-season episode at episode 7, and they've done this much in the first 7. Like, yeah, I feel like there definitely is room if like they really want to get cooking on what's coming here on in, that yeah, there would be room for both the Stolas thing and the Ozzy thing to seriously matter. Like at very least that one gets resolved and then a cliffhanger on the other is the season finale, something like that.
That's what I was saying, like the Stolas cop could lead into that, just because I was bringing up before, like it would be interesting if they try to blend them all and they resolve themselves somewhat by the finale, but that seems like a rather big thing to do. But like I was like sort of insinuating, like Stolas' plot could lead into fuel to the fire to the Mamoon plot and like sort of the Ozzy relationship. So, like you said, you summarized it well. Like it could be a cliffhanger there, where like Stolas gets some resolution. I don't think it's ever going to be resolved because it's it's like every single TV series, even like the ones on YouTube, they can't have a developed relationship. They have to have drama till the last episode.
I just hope that we don't go the route of like having separate new boyfriends for each of them, a la Kagami and like Luca. I'm sorry, I had to make that reference. I had to make that reference specifically for Miraculous fans. God. Like, or even more infamously, whatever did happen in Starverse is because, oh my god, that was even worse. Don't want to go through multiple boyfriends. Please.
Yeah, that's the one thing I've learned to appreciate series that like have a couple get together early on, like before the end, and it's like they go on. Like that's what I really loved about the final season of like Kim Possible.
Yeah,
because like they really developed that relationship more than even some anime would have the couples get together beforehand, sort of develop their actually just have them get together before this series ends. Like, oh, this is refreshing because you get to see their relationship and struggle as a couple, or at least at the very least more openly open about their feelings for each other.
Yeah, Kim Possible walked for a lot of people, and that was all fan supported, by the way. We wouldn't have never got that in the original series.
Yeah. Oy. But as for the episode itself, though, it's like, wait, this. I don't know. I mean, we've had like characters trying to deal with crueler things, but there was a slow burn factor to this one. It was like, what can you say?
I do get what you say. Like this is I think the longest episode of the season. Not sure if it's the longest episode period, but definitely I've been compensating the longest of the season, and I feel it could have been shorter.
Maybe,
not
yeah, it's not a
lot,
particularly complicated plot. It just seems like it's like really trying to twist that knife in to tell this story of Fizz and his complex.
Yeah, that's like the one thing I feel like some series. That's like often like when you have TV network and all that, like having a very strict timetable for how long you have to tell a story, either like a 20-something minutes for a 30-minute special or 40-something minutes, I forget the exact, for like a hour-long show, fit in ad time and all that. Like it's very restricting, but at the same time it makes you be efficient. While if on like more streaming services and all that, like when they sort of bend that too much, it can actually sometimes hurt the show. I think one of the best examples of that was the reboot of what's the series called?
Reboot? No, I'm kidding.
Arrested Development.
Okay, yeah.
If you know, I might be the only one that's seen that, but yeah, this Arrested Development was a cult hit show on Fox that came back on Netflix for a New Year's season. It wasn't well received, to summarize, and like instead of having to basically episodes constantly went over like the 30-minute mark over to 35 and a half instead of their shorter time. And yeah, what they say about comedy, it's all about timing.
Oh. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's always yeah, back and forth, the unfilteredness versus the conciseness, whatever. Yeah, every writer's great struggle, great balancing act. Like,
I was just wondering about for like my own thoughts about this episode, which I honestly feel like this, like I do agree about it being like a slow burn. I don't agree about it being shorter because it feels a lot more well paced about trying to introduce and like fully display like the sense of like rejection of like any outside assistance, even from like a close personal partner, over something that you internalize as like, this was the thing that managed to get me with you. If I just reject this, I'm not gonna have that status, which means I can't be with you. That sort of logic can easily run over and ruin people's lives. And unfortunately,
yeah, when I say a little too long, I'm saying more like maybe they could have trimmed 5 minutes and it would have been more efficient. I think the way they could have possibly done that is, I get the idea like Ozzy. I mean, Fritz's self-doubt is big a focus of this, and it's sort of. So I feel they could have kept that plot, but I don't think they needed a very particular fan that came back from years ago. I felt like they could have been a little bit more time efficient to sort of be a general fans, like anonymous sort of thing, causes them to sort of freak out.
Yeah, because it just became more of a stalker instead of like anonymous fans. That was giving me a Gretzko season 3 flashbacks.
Yeah, and also would have felt more natural. I feel if it was just like just a general anonymous like posters and all that, like just a whole bunch of just random no face like people that sort of freak like bad comments, because like that feels more natural than like, oh, there's this one that badmouth you. Like, yeah, even if you have self-confidence issues, if you're a celebrity, like just one particular random fan going off you is like, yeah, you'll overlook that. But like if you like a few, like that's where it starts to get where you get more self-doubt.
Uh-huh. Yeah, like that. I mean, for one, I honestly was really with Fizz in this one, like that, how it feels when, okay, even if it's just those couple of things you're good at, even if nobody really questions you're good at it, you always have like your own personal measuring stick in your head if it's something you've excuse me gotten used to being your thing over time, and like how you do it and what is good for you by your standards and what is off your game, and what like, okay, is your bare minimum for you to be able to say inside like, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm still top tier at this. I'm still like, yeah, I still have the right to tell people I'm good at this even though I never do. It's like, yeah, like not only could I really feel the complex, I felt like I could really understand it here, like how the only standard is in Fizz's head, but to him it's very, very real and very precise, and yeah, is like, at least when he has to consider the possibility of losing it, feels like all he has. So that, like, I could feel that coming through more and more as the episode went on, and it's, yeah, kind of a twofold twisting knife. You could feel more and more how it becomes this, like, living nightmare for him. But just all this cruel stuff, like, gradually sucking his soul out in a fit of anxiety. I felt like they did a real good job twisting that knife.
Like I said, I do enjoy the anxiety subplot. I feel that was a very good core of it. I just felt like not necessarily one particular fan like that. Like, okay, that's what I said. I like the reason. I just don't like the cause.
You mean you felt like
And also
it could have done without the whole let's get wholesome for a second?
Like where after the one guy was killed, or
like with the deaf kid, you felt like you could have done without that, or did I misunderstand what you meant?
Wait.
No, what I was saying is like I felt like the one annoying fan that basically tried to kill him.
Oh yeah.
Instead of having like, I felt this episode like could have been more efficient if they basically just cut him out and just had basically his role filled with just like anonymous fans or something like that, like his basically the hell equivalent of like YouTube comments or something like that. So it's not like one random fan that like also like heckled him like when he was a kid, that comes back just particularly now. Like, okay, that's given a lot of like just screen time and all that for frankly an unimportant character. Where I feel if it was more of a general like just comments and like sort of like negativity like gets to me, because like that is true. A lot of, if you're in a showbiz, like even YouTube celebrity and all that, like sometimes a handful of comments like are you can take to heart. Which so yeah, that's why I said I don't mind the drama and like uncertainty with them. I just hate the cause, and I felt that might have been a way where they could have trimmed down the episode a bit.
Yeah, I will say for what they had that character there to do, or at least like the most effective thing he did with, yeah, coming back right when Fizz doesn't need him and making him feel like, yeah, that the whole like this great standard of 10 years the champion that he's built, like that's, yeah, oh, that's not formidable, that's just the default, and like now, yeah, like you said, that sudden negativity that can get you like, oh yeah, maybe that's something starting to show through, or maybe that like that if you're not totally secure in your spot, in your status and whatnot, then like someone like that can sound a lot more like the truth to you than it is or than it should. But so, and yeah, for that matter, like making him somebody who was around before and clearly is only saying these things because he's like an extra pathetic stan trying to, yeah, really do the armchair psychology thing that these people do when they get rejected, which is, oh, well, I hate you now. Like giving him a a clearly defined reason for doing it and a common but fake one at that. It almost makes it seem less damaging. Like he doesn't seem like he should be as effective there as opposed to if he's just like this random jagoff who like comes out and starts saying these things as random haters do. Like heck, just saying, like, I don't even feel like we needed the backstory to give him a reason. Just saying that he writes for this one blog with this long satirical name, basically declaring itself to just be like pissy whining criticism, that yeah, that probably would have been more than enough. Because I will say what he does outside of that is armchair psychology on these losers and giving Blitz someone to take down. Like, that's pretty much it. And heck, even like protecting Fizz from him. Like if he just came out of nowhere and then like the same thing where he protects Fizz from him, and then if he, I don't know, tried to rush the stage for no reason at all and Blitz had to shoot him later, you probably could have done the same thing. Probably could have still had all that. And been more effective. Maybe not the armchair psychology, but I don't know if we really needed that.
All right. But I guess with those, any other final thoughts on this before we go to some quick what we've been up to news before I head out?
Probably my second favorite episode of the season after Moxie's dad. Like, I feel like it might take the decision over the one where Fizz and Blitz reconciled. Like, it's tough. I don't know. Like, the other one had, I guess, more powerful material. The reconciliation was pretty strong, but I mean, that was like...
I will say, I think my favorite music sequence is probably the Wedding Crasher scene. That was probably the best sequence, I feel, of the season.
You mean Millie driving in and, like, wrecking all of the dad's... That was pretty damn good. Yeah, that's my favorite so far. Just the whole episode, honestly. This one might take the second place, though, because, like, yeah, well, the reconciliation had some of the strongest material. It was also a bit of an, okay, well, let's not make things too difficult. Let's get to our dessert and just, like, let things be convenient and mostly fun and all that. Like, this kind of worked for it a little bit. It felt a little tighter with how it twisted that dagger, got that slow burn going, and amounted to something. So yeah, probably top 5 of the series, probably second favorite of the season.
Gotcha. As for me, I think I probably have this slightly edging over episode 6 for favorite of the season.
Ooh.
I just feel like that song at the end basically took it all the way up from like second best to being the first best, because I can't really relate to the whole quitting something horrible and saying the biggest amount of curse to your boss, but that honestly felt cathartic even from a second person's perspective. Like legit.
Yeah, like I said, that song's gonna be so gift.
It was like such a huge catharsis that the fact that it affected me quite heavily and having me consider it to be the best song of the series yet, Yeah, that kind of turned this episode to being possibly number one currently of the series right now. So yeah, that's kind of what we're dealing with right now.
Shit. That song is like for when you need Let It Go to be directed at somebody. Get off my case.
Get off my case! Why do you have to be judging me for all my actions? Why? I'm just telling you, if you can't leave me alone, you will have a flag slapper to your head, and you will not like it. That's just.
I will still say, in terms of the series songs, I still think Cotton Candy is a more better song as a whole. But this is like a top meme level song.
I wouldn't even
There are
say
a
it's
lot
a
of
meme.
songs that are good on a lot of different levels. There's You Will Be Okay with Stolus to Octavia.
The emotional beats of that one, yeah. Cotton Candy was just cathartic from a creator doing a creation influenced by their favorite star. And now this one was just like, okay, yeah, remember that song from like episode 6 where Fizz was being able to make a distraction with like multiple genres and such? Yeah, now let's just have this song be an entire ballad of like just starting off slow, then going for a big crescendo, having all the instrumentals just hit just right, and have it go for a decent 2-minute mark. And it feels so enchanting and so enticing that you just can't keep your eyes off of it. But it was like more artistry, so much effort, so much work and such. Like, yeah, it's like my type of song that I like to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I appreciate like the music effects and everything.
Boy, can't blame you there. And like I was kind of hoping that they would have Fizz like not just refuse to go out and perform, because like when you've got two things playing against each other right now, that like, okay, you need to give yourself a break, but you still feel the need to settle with what you're in the middle of, like that can, like, just walking away, that can linger for a while. Like, it feels so unresolved. Like, this felt like the perfect solution here. Like, yeah, I'm going to give you one final performance to finish this competition about setting myself free. So it seems like we really liked it, I guess is how you sum that up.
It's very much so.
All right. And then to quickly go over new stuff before we've been up, some media stuff is, I guess there really haven't been many media news stuff I'm aware of that's been new since last time. I think the bigger thing was like Spider-Man 2 release and video game.
There's been an unfortunate passing recently.
Oh yeah, the Friends.
Matthew Perry passing.
Yeah.
Boy.
Which I sort of feel weird to say, like, because I know we focus on other media, but like at the same time, Friends was sort of a cultural phenomenon. But it's really hard to explain how influential that show was at the time. Like, I know, like in the Zoom, like the Generation Z, and like I was like, oh, Friends is just so stupid. But yeah, that was a show that was a big show in the 90s and early 2000s. Like,
yeah, it hits even harder for a fellow New Yorker. Like, legitimately.
Boy. Yeah, well, heck,
also.
I mean, that was like one of the shows when I was growing up, and I was too young to watch it, like, or to at least care that much about watching it. The first episode I ever saw of Friends, when it aired, like, before it was archived, so in context, was the last one, because that was just such a big event. But yeah, so that said, like, the fact that it's stuck around so much and so prominently is like how it's really sunk into me, how big it must have been, and in a sense still is, to everyone.
I feel like there was like there are eras of sitcoms, and like there was a certain like wave of new sitcoms in like the 90s and early 2000s. Like there was a big explosion of like popular sitcoms. Like everything from like Tool Time to Frasier to I can't remember their names. I remember the Drew Carey show and stuff like. There's a whole bunch of just like it was a big sitcom era. And like Friends was just sort of like the crown jewel of that, which is I feel why it sort of stood out. Like even like the '70s show, like there was dozens of like big sitcoms were like the big show, like what reality TV became in like the 2000s was like sitcoms in the 90s and early 2000s.
It's honestly probably about valid. I remember a lot of sitcoms growing up. I even remember my dad trying a bunch that just didn't stick around. Like that was what you tuned into. One called Teen Angel to try to go with Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
That was another Sabrina Teenage Witch.
Boy Meets World was in there.
Because there were other ones that are sort of like predate the thing. Like I think Frasier and all that like was part of that trend, but also sort of before that. But it was like a very 90s thing. It was like a big sitcom explosion.
Yeah, Matthew Perry. He's going to be remembered. I mean, it's like, not everybody is appreciated on the same level by the same crowd, but I mean, I always thought that'd be really cool if you had even one thing that everybody would remember you for. There was this really cool quote by him, which he said, like, all right, if I had my way, like, which I won't, Friends would be a few places down on, like, a couple places down, just one or two on the list of things I'm remembered for, and above it would be how I at least always felt like I was good at not turning away people who came to me and needed help, namely because, I'd been, a drunk before. I'd been in that spot and, like, knew how when you needed it, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, only the people who are interested are going to know that about you and remember you for it, but, well, that's certainly a reason you deserve to be remembered, and it's nice to have that in there, too, if you're going to be. That would constitute a life well lived to me.
But yeah, it's sort of hard to move on from that subject because just depressing.
I guess I mean like Halloween, October.
Like I said, in more good New York news is like the Spider-Man 2 came out, which is trying some of that, and it's definitely a step up from the previous one.
Yeah, I mean, like with Spider-Man 2, we basically have two good representations for reptile folk in video games, with the other one being Mortal Kombat 1, which Sizegolf is now a popular name now for reptile. Oh, God. Like, like legitimately, like I just love the fact that Baraka and Reptile are now like wholesome characters in the Mortal Kombat storyline. It's just nice.
There's been some Mortal Kombat 1. There's been some funny memes I've seen just from like the cinematics in that game.
Yeah. Also the whole. Also the whole thing with like Sizegolf with like Ashura, like having like a budding romance. I'm like, oh my God, are they literally doing this? My goodness, print this, make more of this ships. We need more of this relationship stuff, It's just all good.
But in terms of stuff I've been up to media-wise, like Spider-Man 2, obviously, but also I brought up a thing before I was starting, but I'm more further along. Is like Irma, my Demon School Irma. Let me see. What's that called? Is it specifically called? Because anime names, of course.
Wait, which one? Which anime? You trying to remember?
Demon School, Irma, or
Yeah, I mean, like that is the official English title for it. It's Maramashita Aruma-kun.
yeah. I'm just now into season 3 of it, and like, yeah, I feel one comment I've read earlier on, like, very does summarize the series. It feels like a early 2000s like anime that was lifted into the modern times, because when I looked at when it was first actually the anime started airing, it's like, oh crap, that just aired in like 2017 or 2018.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that Asmodeus is quite literally Gokudera from Hitman Reborn in terms of personality, I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna like this show quite a lot. And that came out in 2006.
But yeah, like I said, yeah, it's a very interesting, like it very does feel like a more classic shonen like school like anime, where it's like less about the fighting and combat, more like about the school life in a unique setting, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess aside from that, I've been watching through some sequel series right now, like on my own personal time, like Tokyo Revengers, technically season 3. And oh my god, they keep on hitting you in the heart and the dick. I'm just saying, a show about a time traveling delinquent does not have the right to hit you as hard as it does. God. This is what Erase basically took the popularity of for modern time travel stories from. Tokyo Revengers is the better time travel story, let me tell you. Oh, God. It's so amazingly horrible. Like you just feel like everything is just going to shit and you just want everything to be good, better, everyone to live. But no, some people die. And it's just unfair. But yeah, that was one thing I was watching basically. A lot of fun. A lot of fun. Um, Rick and Morty has started airing episodes for season 7 with the new
I
voices.
forgot that. Yeah, which yeah, apparently the creators mostly cleared from the official charges, but at the same time was being rather sleazy to fans, some underage fans. So
Ooh.
they're still sort of cutting the losses with him.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I do sort of feel sorry for the show, because it's just not going to be the same. Like, it's not going to have the same energy and all that going forward. And like, I feel Rick and Morty won't be the same like culture phenomenon it evolved into.
Well, I mean, honestly, the first episode would have you thinking that. Only then for episode 2 to come in and be like, well, we still have the writing chops for an actual entertaining Rick and Morty episode. Yeah, it was just one off episode trying to feature Poopy Butthole. But then second episode was like, hey, let's have another Jerry Rick adventure. But real Jerry
Like I
Rick.
said, yeah, I don't feel like it will be necessarily like everything bad sort of thing. I'm just saying, like, in general, the core direction might just be different. In the same way, like Pixar without Lasseter's, like they still have great shows. I came out after Lasseter's, like fully out of Lasseter's like era, but the big issue is just sort of the quality control went downhill, which I feel is probably what's going to happen to Rick and Morty, since like the one creator was so instrumental to it.
Mm,
Now it
yeah.
could get better without his weird idiosyncrasies worked into the story, having a more traditional run story ideas. That's less cynical
Mhm.
could potentially be even sort of more enjoyable. Like, because I like watching clips from Rick and Morty, but at the same time, it's like I don't really consider it a fan because it's a series that like refuses to let you be happy about something because it basically so it's like it runs to like oh you're enjoying this, well like it's a meta or something. It's like it's trying to be more clever than it is. So
It's more
I see.
douchey than smart.
yeah.
Mm.
It reminded me
Well,
like of forgot this. I got this because thanks to Facebook short like clips they have now. I've seen like some from this lawyer show. I forget even the name of the point, but like they had like to summarize it, like this plot point was like, oh, there's a metaphor for how the rich can get away with stuff. It's called Memo 7 something or something like that. It's like, oh, what's the thing? It's like, oh, it's just a metaphor, but it's a real metaphor. Like it's like a judge will get this message and instantly drop a case against a rich person. Like, okay, I get where you're trying to go for, but you're doing it so freaking clumsily. It just comes off as childish and stupid.
Mm-hmm.
mm.
It's like, yeah, it's like, and that's what I feel with Rick and Morty. Like, it does do some like, because it's a very inventive show. Like, it was like, hey, let's just do creative things. But at the same time, it sort of like pokes fun about how stupid those ideas are. It's like, yeah, it's like,
There was this one video called "The Problem with Rick and Morty" about just how um like the whole like um shit like thoughts over feelings, by which we mean if we get crueler and beat our chests more, that means we're eventually going to be right. Like how Rick seems to kind of appeal and even cater to that demographic, and like that there seems to be a notion that like he actually has a case for that is like, I don't know, cruel sort of, for lack of a better word, anti-humanist way of doing things is actually right, that like it's kind of festering that culture of what do you call it, I guess libertarians, for people who think libertarianism is, yeah, I'm too macho and think brainy to be bothered by your concerns.
Mm.
but yeah, like I said, that's right. Well, see how it goes because it could be interesting. The show's fundamentally going to change, and like with that change, it might just take away the weird stickiness it's had. Not weird, but like it is a cultural phenomenon show. Like it has become memed and all that. So that change might remove that, but at the same time, the show itself might potentially get better without the creator, but also might get worse. It's fundamentally though going to change. Like so, we'll have to just sort of wait and see.
Yeah, there's only one other real thing I really gotta say for like in terms of anime this year. All right, Derek, remember Fury from 2020?
Yeah.
Yeah, this fall decided to bring in a VR anime that trumps Fury in every way possible and involves Dark Soul tactics.
Let me see. I think I might have it on my list because I know there's one that was like a VR one that came up recently.
Yeah.
Which one was it? I'm looking through.
It's the anime featuring a bird head protagonist.
I think I seen that. I thought I added it to it.
Mm.
Oh, there it is. Shangri-La Frontier. Yeah, I did have it on my list.
Yep. I'm gonna be honest with you. Sorry about that. But I was just gonna say, like, it's one of those shows that is like basically, it's like basically like taking like a non-serious like plot with like a video game with like the most try-hard gamer who plays the worst games possible to get a thrill from them. And he honestly criticizes them by categorizing them in terms of like not being trash or being spectacularly trashy. Like a guy who like lives off like playing these sorts of games. Then gets a suggestion to literally play like the best of the best games possible. And despite him usually playing solo, because like he does not really have many friends who share in his trash loving tendencies, gets absorbed into a world of video games not for the lore or the story, but to deal with a hard ass boss. That is just the general MO of this story. And I love it because it's truly a gamer's mentality for like how to like progress for like this game. You're not playing it to complete the story or anything. There's one single objective in your mind if you want to like actually beat this game, and it's defeating an annoying boss that is bugging the heck out of you, you know? That's really the thing that I really do love about it. And apparently for a lot of other people, it's the fact that the animation has not slipped in any of the past 5 episodes that have aired, despite the fact that it's like a 2-core series. And usually people see like the animator slacking usually for a lot of these seasonal animes. So it might be the one anime that's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to look super amazing in every single angle possible. So no one can really criticize my work at all. So it's like, okay, so you're not only entertaining, but you're also kind of very hard to judge.
But I need to be heading out soon. So, second, you also want to tell us anything you've been up to?
Well, been getting everything we can out of that Paramount Plus subscription, and Daylover got me to watch Wolf of Wall Street, which might have at least one of my all-time funniest scenes with that Popeye thing, if either of you have seen that.
No, I've heard good things about the film.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it also has a following of like dude bros who appreciate it, not necessarily in the way that Martin Scorsese intended, just like being nose blind to the fact that there's supposed to be a downside and just get into the fantasy of being this like rich guy who indulges hard enough to make Caligula look restrained, but Emperor Caligula. But,
yeah, essentially people who watch Starship Troopers and think it's a patriotic film.
Yeah, just about. But actually, I think I might have even like tentatively found a new favorite movie. As in one of my favorites, not like all time, but yeah, like I actually kind of really appreciated a movie that can show me someone who like lives the exact antithesis of the lifestyle I'm kind of going for, that I look for, and wouldn't tell me that I'm not missing anything, but like can, yeah, at the same time, like, how would you put it? Make you feel a little less insecure about what's on the other side of the fence, just for sheer, the sheer perspective of sanity, can see what's wrong with this. Yeah, even though it also comes with all the power of like why you would want to jump into this. So, like, my favorite movies are the ones that can like really get me into someone else's like someone's perspective, and or like relate to me personally in a weird way. This movie did both by telling me the story of somebody who was like the exact opposite of like what all my goals that I've even taken a stab at have been. By which I mean Yeah, I mean, I guess you could also say that if you were like trying to be some kind of priest, like, oh, I never did drugs and try to scam people. I meant more like just being that like hyper plugged into the sensations and the gain and the what do you call that? The rat race and the just like more speed, more thrill, more pure sensation. I'm like, yeah. Tentatively, it seems like life has gone better for me when I've backed off of that and been just like, yeah, all right, make sure that you're whole and fulfilled and be okay with one step at a time. So yeah, that was a lot. We also saw Scrooged, which is a live action cartoon, which apparently seemed mean-spirited at the time, and now it just kind of seems like a live action cartoon that doesn't always even take seriously what are supposed to be the wholesome moments, because that's what a silly cartoon does. But that saw Saturday Night Fever, which, did I mention that one in the last call, or has it been long enough since then? Has it not? Like, whatever, Saturday Night Fever. It's the one that everybody thinks is about John Travolta wearing the white suit and doing a lot of disco moves and listening to a lot of Bee Gees songs and getting the girl and winning the contest, which, yes, but at the same time, really, really no. That is a dark, flippin' movie about, I guess, like, calling out the BS of the, like, lower working class lifestyle back then, where you just, like, were given no hope for anything except to beat down on somebody else, I guess. So, like, the happy ending is get the heck out of there, kid. And I guess I'll end with what might be the most interesting of the bunch. I finally got to both Anchorman movies after skipping them forever. Which,
Yep, I haven't seen those in full, but I've seen clips and got the story summaries of those, which...
Yeah, I'd seen the clips of the first one, and actually the first one almost plays better than I thought it would, because instead of just being like a crude comedy about an anchorman who's an idiot, it is kind of like a lot of it is something that almost could have happened back then. Like, the opening narration is like, back at a time where people really did believe everything they saw on television, where you tuned in every night to feel like you knew a little bit about what was going on in the world from a man in a fine suit and a voice that could make a Wolverine purr. And yeah, Anchorman 2, this is the weird, first time in a long time I think I've sided with the, fan backlash and not the critical reviews, but Anchorman 2 was nails on a chalkboard for me. Like, there were a couple of times it got that satirical dagger in even better, which, full props for that. But, like, it is so steeped in that early 2010s humor of just like, I'll make it stupider, more discombobulated. The joke is that you understand how stupid it is because you're smart. Wink. Boy, I felt like we were at a point in just all of comedy where we'd taken jokes that we already heard, and our only new play was to, make them go further with them until you were just congratulating yourself for getting the joke. Needed to die, and I don't miss it. So, Anchorman 2, no thank you. I think it deserves to age out, but 1 was all right.
All right. With that said, I guess I'll see y'all soon for the next one. Trying to get ahead of the Thanksgiving stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Until then.